Hey everybody, how you doing? Let me ask you this. How many of you have a camera or a phone laying around just straight collecting dust? Or how many times you thought to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna start today. But then your kids start crying, your dogs start barking, you're late to work, something happens, your life erupts, and it gives you a reason why you can't start. But listen, you are gonna start, and you are gonna start today. And you do not need this huge budget or this perfect plan. No, you just need a simple ingredient list and a clear recipe to your success. And that's where I come in, and that's where this video is gonna best suit you. I'm gonna walk you through the exact steps that you need to take to launch your brand, to launch your business, your creative ideas, whatever it may be, but it has to start today. So sit back, tune in, get your notebook, get your favorite cup of coffee or your tea, and let's get cooking, Successipe style. Let's do it. All right, so here's your ingredient list to get yourself cooking. 1, dash of courage to overcome fear and take that first step. 2, cups of clarity. 3, a notebook or a digital planner, something to help you brainstorm and map out your ideas. Don't forget your pencil. 4, pinches of inspiration. 5, it's a simple idea, don't forget. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Start small, start meaningful. 6, a little sprinkle of time. 7, consistent action plan. Give yourself a realistic routine to keep momentum and allow yourself enough runway to experiment and find out what's working. 8, a handful of positivity, encouragement, and self-belief to keep you going. 9, here's an optional one, but one that I fully believe in, a mentor or a support system, AKA the Successipe. All right, let's get back into it. Today, I'm gonna be walking you through how we came up with the name, what was the concept, what's the why. A lot of times we just kind of dive into things aimlessly, especially nowadays we're chasing money, we're chasing some kind of a social status, but let's just take a little deep breath. And let's think about the content that we're creating and the content that we're sharing with people. My why came from basically my base, my ecosystem. All of my friends, my family, they're all in this same boat. Some people are doing fantastic financially, but they're coming up short spiritually, or they're coming up short in love, and vice versa. Some people are just filled with so much abundance of love, but they're not where they want to be financially. So I started thinking about how can I, as a creator and as a connector, create this channel, make some content that is community, exposing of weaknesses, talking about the successes and the failures, which is very, very important. I know during the time when I was owning the restaurant, there was a lot of things that I was afraid to admit because I wanted to be strong. I wanted to present this image. I didn't want to be or look like a failure. But in the end, that was just the ego blocking my way. And it took me shedding that ego and start exposing and being naked to my peers and to other restaurant people and other people in the business industry to start feeling secure in that voice. They started to recognize that's how they felt, but they were very afraid of admitting their own failures, admitting their own fears, right? So here at Successipe, what we want to do is create a safe space, a place where we can be naked, where we can be transparent, talk about these failures, talk about these fears, and talk about how we grew from them. Because we all have the power to grow from these fears and from these failures. And that is what makes us successful. I know that starting something new can be overwhelming, it can form paralysis, it can be daunting. You start getting all of these lists that you have to do, and there's a lot of lists that are going to be involved, and you can just go in deep dives in YouTube about how everybody else did it and all these kinds of things. To some extent, sure, that has some purpose, that has some value, but in the end, that's all just noise. It's all just noise. We have to learn how to take our own steps one at a time, and we have to know how to fall and get back up. But once you make that leap and you feel that cold water, it's just momentary. After that, your skin acclimates, your mind acclimates, the mechanics and the love start to get involved in it, and then you can start to have fun in this process. And that's what we're gonna go through today. Okay, so let's get on in this. And listen, you can take your steps along with me to start your own journey, and it's very simple. We're just gonna follow these simple recipes to reach your success, as we talked about. It's just one step at a time, and that unlocks your full potential to reach your greater grandiose success, right? So let's dive on into it. Okay, the way that we came up with the name Successipe really just came from a cooking background, and also kind of came from a place of what are small mechanics? What are the small things that you do to create an overall goal? So in this case, I was thinking about food. I love food. I love what food does to a community, what it does to you and your loved ones and your personal growth, and also, you know, how to create sustenance for yourself. So I thought about, okay, food is my ultimate metaphor for success, let's say that. Now, how did I get to that point to make my final dish? Well, I had to take these small recipes, these small steps to eventually cook my overall meal. So then I started having recipes for success. Play with that for a little bit, thought about it, went on walks, just held on to it really loosely. You don't want to hold on to ideas too tight. There's a really good book by Rick Rubin right now. He talks a lot about this, about how artists and creators and thinkers, you know, you want to think about some ideas, but then you want to let them go a little bit. Think about when you try to remember like a telephone number, or you try to remember someone's name, and if you just keep trying to figure it out in your mind, you're never going to get it. But then, you know, you go out, you play some pickleball or whatever, and all of a sudden, boom, it pops in your head. It's a very similar concept. Just think of an idea, hold on to it loosely in your hand, almost like it's a little piece of pebble that can almost fall out of your hand, and then boom, it will come to you. So in this case, I was like recipes, success, Successipe, and it just kind of rolled off the tongue. Formulated it, asked a couple friends, spot checked, was like, yo, what do you think about this name? They're like, yeah, I like it. Boom, we went with it. Recipes for success. Just a viewer tip here, when you are constructing your brand guidelines and you're making your brand logos, just think about being consistent, something that resonates with you, because this is your forward-facing self. So you don't want to be changing your look all the time or changing what what your colors are and what your texts are. Find something that resonates with you. Keep it simple, keep it mindful, keep it creative. There's a whole bunch of sites out there that will help you do this, friends that will help you do this. Lean on the people in your community. Trust me, that is the best way to do it. Focus on your community first. Look to your friend who has been an artist their whole life and is struggling. They will be super stoked to help you out in this project, and you're going to create something very authentic and loving because it's going to be in your circle. And as you start to grow and your logo and your color and your brand guidelines starts to shine, guess what? They're going to be recognized for that as well. So I recommend doing that. If you don't have the ability to do that, we live in the digital age now. There's a whole bunch of AI creator logo things out there. You can try that. Also, there's places like Fiverr and Upwork that you can communicate with a live human being that will help you construct your logos and your brand guidelines. While you're listening to me, if these words are coming into your mind and you're starting to think about what you want to call your brand or how you want to position yourself, and you start to feel good about what you're thinking, you're on the right path, because the most important thing is how you feel when you're making your content. If you're feeling like, geez, this is hokey pokey and I'm not convincing anybody, not even myself, guess what? You're not gonna succeed. You have to come from a place that you are feeling great in what you're doing, and that resonates with you, and believe me, the rest will shine through. Now what? What's the overall point of it? What's the reason why we're doing this? Well, for me, I'm a Pisces. Some people might roll their eyes at this and think that astrology is goofy, and that's perfectly fine. Some other people might be in alignment with me right now, so listen up. The way that I have lived through life is I've always felt like I am a good person to support others. But along that journey, I had to make sure that I'm being taken care of, so that I can be strong to take care of the people that are wanting support. So along this path, I had to work on my spirituality, my mindfulness, my physical health, my mental health, intellectual health, all of these kinds of things, financial health. So through this process, I was like, ultimately, I want, and my calling, my dharma, is to be here to help others. And that is basically the formation of how we got to the why. Now we have a name, we have a why. Now let's get into action. Okay, we're starting to cross things off our list. We have the camera in front of us. Now it's time to press record. Now let me tell you, The very first time I did it, I probably spent about 3 hours just talking to the camera to make sure that I can do this. And I'm still not convinced that I can do this, but I'm gonna allow ego and pride to get out of the way, and I'm just gonna try to be fluid with this, right? But it is agonizing, and I come from a perspective of being the creator and the director. And so I'm thinking about reverse engineering this, thinking about how am I gonna edit this? What are the cuts gonna be? All of these things. So I have to take a step back and just learn how to be comfortable with the camera lens, because the camera lens is the eyes of the viewers. It's you, right? So we have to learn how to connect with the viewer through the camera lens. And that is the beauty of all of this. So I recommend, even before you start pressing record and publishing your videos, talk to the camera. Just get used to talking to the camera, because it is a trip. Some people are amazingly good at it. And I realize now, being in their shoes, that, wow, very difficult, and they are so good at it. And you know, it's just like anything. If you start doing a mile when you run, it's probably gonna take you about 14, 15 minutes to do that mile. But over the time that you continue to do the run, you will get more and more in shape, and you'll be able to accomplish that mile much faster, right? Same thing here. We're basically doing mental, spiritual gymnastics. We are practicing speaking in front of the camera, telling our story, allowing that free flow to happen to y'all, right? So my biggest advice to you is learn to commit. Be okay with your take. It probably won't be perfect, but it'll be worth it. I want to talk a little bit more about content creation and get back to our why. Let's say you give me a call, you drop a comment, and you're like, yo man, I just want to grow my YouTube channel. I want to have millions of views, so on and so forth. That's amazing. That's great. I've worked with artists, I've worked with brands that only wanted to focus on that. They wanted to make their money off of AdSense, affiliate links, these kinds of things. There's money in that. There's exposure in that. I get it. So your why is that. So then you're gonna wanna start looking at what's going on in the market, analyzing videos, seeing what thumbnails, what taglines work, what are trending topics, and you're gonna wanna focus there. Myself, and here at the Successipe, I'm not too interested in that. I'm not wanting to work for YouTube. I want YouTube to work for me. YouTube takes an enormous cut of our intellectual property and our self-publishing, right? So I want to own my labor. I want to own my intellectual property. So I'm gonna do other things to build a community on this amazing platform that YouTube is, and then start to convert it over to different areas, such as the Successipe.com, where we have a whole plethora and an ecosystem going on over there. But again, we have to look at our why. For me, like I said, I wanted to focus on my achievements, my failures, also going through this exposure and this nakedness of speaking in front of a camera and being completely transparent. That's my why. When we start reconstructing to my content is going to be much different. My content isn't really geared to what's trending and these kinds of things. My topics and my desires of content are things that are going to resonate with me, and also who's my community. Power in numbers. I want to rise up and rise everybody up with me. The better that the people in my community are doing because of my successes is the best thing that I can ask for. That's why I always have a call to action for y'all to participate and share what is going on in your life and how you are learning and what you're gaining from the Successipe. The more that you're shining, the more that I want to shine light on you and the rest of the community to start to bond together. And that way, who knows who you will connect with through the Successipe community. But it's like spider webs. You're just gonna start connecting with folks, and then you're gonna start rising up no matter where you go. That's my little piece about content. Whatever you wanna do is beautiful, and it's you. Leaning into your own individual aspect, your own individual fingerprints on that, owning that, and following through. And here's a little call to action for you guys. I would love to see what you're up to. Make sure to drop that in the comments. Show me what your trials and tribulations have been, where you're stuck. I'm almost positive it's probably gonna be on the logo or the brand guidelines or your why, or literally just to get the nerve to press that record button. But again, you're not alone in this. I'm not alone in this. We're together on this channel. We're together in this community, and using these small recipes to unlock profound successes is what Successipe is all about. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hopefully you made it all the way to the end. Wasn't that long. And stay tuned for new recipes for success. Ciao.